What's up, YouTube? CJ Extreme here to talk about a serious subject matter once again. I've done this before. I've talked about whether PewDiePie is or is not racist. I don't really know if my argument is the same for him anymore. I've talked about mental health after Etika's passing, most recently. I've talked about the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath during the Jake Paul documentaries with Shane Dawson, and also about BetterHelp. So, this isn't something that I'm fairly new to, just to give anyone an idea, because I know, what else does this guy post on his channel, you know what I mean? And you see a bunch of gaming videos, wrestling videos, etc. So it's kind of hard to take me seriously, and I may not be as qualified to talk about the subject. However, I think even if you have a small YouTube channel or if you have some sort of subject matter that you normally focus on, it is okay to talk about these kind of subjects because you're putting your voice out there, and it kind of gives people a different perspective, and it kind of gives your audience a different perspective and makes them think about things that maybe they don't have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Before we get started, I am African American or black. I have a little bit of Irish blood in me, a little bit of Native American blood in me, but most of all, I'm just black. All right, plainly, like that's what people will note me for being, basically, if they see me. I chose to have gameplay in the background for this video. I know this is a long introduction. I chose to have gameplay in the background for this video because this is where I'm most comfortable, whereas having a camera in front of me looking at my face or whatever, or holding it up in front of a mirror isn't necessarily the most comfortable thing for me. I'm trying to be able to speak as clearly and concise as I possibly can when I talk in this video. So the reason why I'm talking about this subject, mainly, two reasons. Well, one reason, but two different scenarios. A couple of streamers / YouTubers, I guess we could just call them streamers, from Twitch, have used the N-word before, and it's kind of like me not saying anything. I feel like I should say something, not because people know that I'm a fan of these people, but simply because in the future I was planning on doing my favorite streamers / YouTubers video. Kind of have like a nice little positive video or whatever. I was going to do that, but I was like, well, I can't do that now because they have this thing and I have to talk about it in some capacity because I can't just ignore it with me being black. Otherwise, some people may conflate me as to being an Uncle Tom or whatnot. The same thing with the wrestling thing with a wrestler named ACH who left WWE because of something that he saw as racist. And I have my own opinion on that, but I didn't talk about it because I wanted to make sure I understood the entire scenario before I say anything. And I still don't understand the entire scenario, so I have not said anything on the subject matter. However, for these two situations, I certainly have. So the first one, the most recent one, Sweet Anita is a Twitch streamer who accidentally, said the N-word on stream. And it wasn't, now I feel like context matters, people don't, but let's just continue describing the scenario. So she says the N-word as a tick. I've seen her streams for about a year now, and that was the first time I ever heard her say it. So when she did that, some people were like, damn, she has Tourette's. That sucks. I wish she didn't say that, but she can't really control it because she has Tourette's. Other people went, hey, the N-word is in her vocabulary. She must use it often because she just ticked and said the word or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that. So first off, let's talk about Tourette's. Now, I don't have Tourette's, right? I don't have it at all. But let's just talk about what Tourette's is, okay? So this is a condition, unfortunately, a syndrome, a disorder that involves repetitive movements or unwanted sounds, tics, that can't be easily controlled. For instance, you might repeatedly blink your eyes, shrug your shoulders, or blurt out unusual sounds or offensive words. There you go. This is the definition from the mayoclinic.org. You may not value them. You may say, okay, I don't want to listen, to these guys or whatever. I don't think that's what it is. Okay, let's pull up another source for you then. okay? So I'm going to use Wikipedia now. So it says it is a common neurodevelopmental disorder with onset in childhood characterized by multiple motor tics, at least one vocal tic, and it's defined as a spectrum of tic disorders, which includes provisional, transient, and persistent chronic tics. What does that mean? So basically what the previous definition said. You can control it to an extent, but it is not easy whatsoever. You don't necessarily have to have these words in your like day-to-day vocabulary, but if you know what the word is, you're probably going to say it if you have this condition. So in this scenario, as Sweet Anita said, she has Tourette's and she knows what the word is, and so does her Tourette's. Therefore, she ended up saying it. She does not say this frequently. She fights it as much as she can. She makes sure she doesn't say certain texts and all that. But this time she just got caught slipping. And you're probably like, well, you can't just say she just got caught. Well, you got caught slipping or whatever, but it's a condition that she can't control. She can't do anything about this. So I don't understand why people are trying to paint her as a racist. It literally does not make sense to me. She has this condition. She's dealing with this condition. And this is what happens because of this condition. If you don't have Tourette's, you can still speak on the subject matter, but you have to understand that, hey, she can't control some of the things that she does. She's been diagnosed with this. We all know that she has it, and I don't think it's fair to blame her for this. To say that she's racist because she has it in her vocabulary. Everybody knows what the N-word is. Every single person knows, okay? So, not every single person. Hold on. Hold on there. Not every single person knows, okay? But generally speaking, the average person knows what the N-word is, knows that they shouldn't say it, and probably doesn't use it on a day-to-day basis unless they are a bigot, racist, or whatnot. Or maybe if they're just joking. Which brings us to our next one. There is a Twitch streamer named Destiny. I've been watching his videos, I think not as long as Sweet Anita, but just about as long. I think I started watching him like a few months after I started watching her. And he usually talks about politics. He also plays video games. He seems like a really cool guy. I never got to talk to him. I've always wanted to, never got to. Same thing with Sweet Anita. Never got to, always wanted to. So, Destiny says that you can say the N-word in private if you are around someone who you can trust, or no, if you're not around anyone at all, of course you can say it. But if you're around someone you can trust that won't use the word in a derogatory manner, and as long as you yourself don't use it in a derogatory manner, you don't necessarily have to be racist for using it. The example that he brought up was humor. Now, some people don't think the N-word is funny. The N-word by itself is not funny. The F-word homosexual slur is not funny. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of words that by themselves are not funny. But in different contexts, they can be funny depending on who you're talking to. And because Destiny uses these jokes around people who are not necessarily offended by the word in private as jokes, that does not necessarily make him racist. Now, how can I say that he is not racist? Doesn't that necessarily make me a token for people who are racist that then want to use the word in private? Now that I'm saying that Destiny isn't racist for using it in private, does that necessarily mean that he is now that people who are racist can use it because they're doing so in private? No, it doesn't. Here's why. So, if you're using the word in specific context is important. That has been the focal point of the entire video so far. I have been saying context is important. I have been giving you context for Sweet Anita's scenario and why that is okay for her to say it, because she has Tourette's. It is okay for Destiny to say it in private, preferably not around people who can be offended by the word, okay? It's okay to use the word in a joke, right? That's fine. I would not necessarily encourage someone to say it in public ever. However, there are certain contexts, again, where you can say it, but usually people choose not to because there are people who may be offended by the word and the history of it, so people usually choose not to do it. I don't see how someone using it in their private language can deem them, or no, use it in their private language in a joke can deem them as being racist. That, to me, that doesn't necessarily make sense. And you could have a different take and you could disagree with me. That's okay. But all I'm saying is you can say the word if you're using it in a joke. That's fine to me. Now, do I use the word in private in a joke? Do I do that? I have. It's happened. I've done it. I don't necessarily think I'm racist for doing so, but I have done it. I'm just saying, it's true. I have done it before. I don't think it's okay to use it in public though, and I used to, in YouTube videos, I used to say N-word with the soft A. Just randomly saying it. Not saying it in a joke, it's just like, what is this N-word doing? What is, what, you know what I mean? What is this soft A doing? You know what I mean? That's what I would do in this. I was like, you know what? Some people might think I'm racist if I say that, even if, because no one knew what I looked like at the time. So I was like, I should stop saying it. Now, people who were watching my videos at the time were my friends, so they knew that who I was and they thought it was funny. But as it started to grow, I was like, probably should stop doing that. I don't think I have any more of those videos on YouTube anyway, so I probably got rid of them. But yeah, I think you guys get the idea. Now, the main dilemma that I'm having here is I don't know if I'm getting my point across correctly, and that's what I'm trying to make sure I do by any means. Last thing I want to do is say something that that doesn't come out right. I'm not very, sometimes I have a hard time, communicating my words correctly. So I think to conclude this video and to concisely explain what it is that I'm trying to say, saying the N-word in public, probably shouldn't say it unless you're around people who are allowing you to say it. Okay, usually shouldn't say it. You probably wouldn't say it, if you're rapping with a rapper on stage and the N-word is in the song and it's next and you're not black, you probably shouldn't say it. Probably shouldn't say it. Just don't say it, okay? Saying it in private, however, completely different scenario. You can't police the language that people use in private. You can't. You can sit there, you can bitch about it, and you can keep trying to say you can't say it in private. But in the end of the day, you can't control that. It can still happen. The context in which it is used is not necessarily ableist if you are doing so in private. Now, what if it's brought out into public and people know about it? People can know that you do something in private technically, but they can never actually really know. What do I mean by that? I can say that I do something in private, but you can never really know. Now, I'm not trying to give a bullshit argument here, okay? I get that. That's like, what? You said it though, so we have to take your word for it, you know what I mean? Okay, well, if you can take my word for it that I'm saying it in private, then you have to take my word for it that I'm saying it in jokes around people who are not going to be offended by the word, who I think aren't offended by it and aren't going to use it in a derogatory manner, right? I should be able to do that. Do you I think that makes sense. If I didn't address something properly, feel free to comment because I'll try my best. And if I come off as aggressive, it's just kind of like, it's a little frustrating to me, this whole cancel culture thing where like someone does something that you don't necessarily agree with, so you go absolute ape shit and you try to get them, banned from whatever or get rid of them or whatever. Maybe you should try to understand the perspective of the person, why they did what they did, what they're doing, and why you think it's wrong, before just necessarily assuming that because to you it's wrong, it has to be wrong to everybody else. You have to try to look at things through different perspectives. Even if you don't necessarily agree with said perspective, you should try to understand why they're doing it or whatever. And then from there, you can kind of break it down and kind of decide whether you think it is necessarily wrong. Because in the end of the day, everybody's got their own moral system that they believe. Whether someone agrees that you should be able to do that or not doesn't really matter because people still do it anyway. So I think that's all I got for you. All right. Thanks for watching or listening, and I'll see you guys later, because I'm gonna play some Fallout later. Probably shouldn't advertise another video in the video. Later.